Elon Musk thinks we're living in the Matrix. Elon Musk was also the one who famously warned us about the dangers of artificial intelligence. And now he believes we all may actually be artificially intelligent beings. Do you think he's right? And is this a good or a bad thing? Welcome to Futured. Today we'll discuss how Elon Musk thinks we are living in the Matrix. Before we do, subscribe to our channel to get updated with everything on future technology, Elon Musk, or SpaceX. As if unleashing humanoid Tesla bots into the wild and transporting visitors to the edge of space weren't enough, tech tycoon Elon Musk recently said that we are most likely living in a hyperreal computer simulation. According to the tech mogul, there is a 1,000,000,000 chance that our world isn't genuine. So what is this virtual reality exactly? The Matrix film series emphasized the concept that computers can imitate reality despite prominent public intellectuals having previously advocated for the simulation theory. According to Elon Musk, if you assume any rate of progress at all games, it will soon not be any different from reality. Before determining that, we are almost certainly in a simulation already. We used to play pong with two rectangles 40 years ago. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and the technology is improving every year. Virtual reality will be the next big thing. Augmented reality in real time. Let's pretend it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing on the evolutionary scale according to Elon Musk. Given that, we're certainly on our way to having games that are almost indistinguishable from reality. Those games could be played on any set-top box, computer, or other devices. There would be billions of these computers or set-top boxes. It would seem that the chances of us being in this situation are 1 in a billion. Neil deGrasse Tyson, a well-known astrophysicist, is another high-profile supporter of the idea. In an interview with NBC News, he said that the concept is valid and that the probability is more than remarkable. Although it is impossible to establish that we are living in a simulation, philosopher Nick Bostrom argues in a survey of the literature on simulated worlds that we are. Despite this, it is widely accepted philosophy to dispute the reality of our existence. Bostrom's simulation hypothesis is based on the assumption that humans may build an artificial cosmos in various ways. It might entail the creation of a gadget that can persuade its inhabitants that the simulated individuals are genuine. The reasoning is predicated on the idea that these folks would be unable to recognize the simulation as such. The resultant unexpected implications of Bostrom's logic, he claims, are in reality entirely consistent with what we know. So instead of being among the original biological brains, a typical member of a sophisticated society would be among the simulated minds. As a result, the chances of us living in a simulation are higher than we may think. It's a kind of argument that claims to establish a limit on what you may think about the future and your location in the universe. It aims to prove one of the following 3 statements to be correct. 1. The first is that all civilizations at our present level of technical progress fall extinct before they attain technological maturity according to a universal pattern. 2. The second option is that all technologically advanced civilizations have a powerful convergence. They've all lost interest in constructing ancestor simulations as they're known. These would be very sophisticated computer simulations of individuals who lived in the past. The simulated animals would be aware if they were detailed enough. 3. The third possibility is that we are most likely immersed in a computer simulation. If all civilizations ultimately reach a post-human stage with sophisticated computer technology, some highly advanced civilizations would almost certainly produce enormous numbers of simulations of their forefathers or predecessors. Based on this reasoning, we are most likely offspring of predecessors who were themselves formed in a simulation. Human society will develop the technical capacity to make reality simulations at some time in the future. At least one replica of human civilization must be included in these simulations. It is possible that we're now immersed in a simulation. According to specific theories, if it is feasible to imitate reality, leaving copies of everyone within these simulations is also conceivable. These mimicked individuals may also be aware of sentient, according to some. Although, rather than being a scientific question, this thought belongs in philosophy. If the percentage of individuals with our experiences living in a simulation is exceptionally close to 1, we are very certainly living in one. Some philosophers disagree, claiming that sims do not have the same conscious experiences as non-simulated people, or that it is self-evident to a human that they are human rather than a sim in any other way. Although the simulation hypothesis has reasonable philosophical grounds, it must be treated seriously before considering it. Proponents of the theory must conduct experiments to back up their claims with evidence. In a joint study published in 2012 by physicists at the University of Washington, a technique for testing one form of simulation hypothesis was developed. The simulation of the cosmos will be accomplished by splitting the continuum space-time into a discrete collection of points under the premise of limited processing resources, in the same way that today's lattice gauge theorists do small simulations. There are a lot of simulations, therefore it's most likely simply about probability. These simulations might be referred to as reality or the multiverse. When we make a simulation, such as a game or a movie, we're distilling what's intriguing about life. It takes a year to shoot an action film, condensed into 2 or 3 hours. The making of a film requires several takes. Everything is under a green screen, and it looks ridiculous. It doesn't seem friendly at first, but it's incredible if you add the CGI and do some good editing. So if we're a simulation, it's incredibly uninteresting outside of the simulation, since why would you build a boring simulation? You would make the simulation far more engaging than the actual world. Some skeptics argue that we live in a base reality in which we are the first generation, and all the simulated individuals who will be made in the future do not exist. This contradicts the Argus hypothesis that it is simple for us to predict that other civilizations would most likely do simulations. Detractors also claim that the simulation hypothesis is flawed because of circular reasoning. The reason presupposes that the simulation would leave behind proof of its origin to deduce our existence. They claim that proponents of the theory must demonstrate how we may be living in a simulation, and how a specific civilization would identify itself as such in this case. Some argue that the simulation hypothesis is not scientific in the traditional sense, since it provides no testable predictions concerning measurements and observations. The simulation hypothesis has also been claimed to be unfalsifiable. If we can never have conclusive evidence that our world is actual, the ideal will remain a philosophical dilemma rather than a legitimate scientific theory. However, economist Robin Hanson believes that a self-interested inhabitant of a high-fidelity simulation should endeavor to be exciting and commendable to avoid being switched off or shoved into a non-conscious low-fidelity simulation area. However, on the other side of this argument, Hanson speculates that someone who realizes he is a simulation may begin to care less about others at the very least. Whether we live in a fundamental reality or not, the first element of this argument, wanting to have a good and fascinating life, is consistent with both worldviews. So, what would it be like to live in a simulated reality? While Musk's outlook is bleak, it does provide an alternate viewpoint on some of life's most pressing issues. These are fundamental problems in most faiths, and they might call into question our current religious customs and spirituality. What happens to us once we die, and who created us? It's unclear where we'd be if this information turned out to be accurate. As per rumors, at least 2 tech billionaires believe we are trapped in a simulation and are sponsoring scientists to assist us get free. But one factor is certain: despite Musk's theory sci-fi aspect, it's a possibility worth examining. After all, humans have previously been mistaken about the nature of reality. Remember how we used to believe the planet was flat? We all bought that now, didn't we? So what are your thoughts on this theory? Do you believe we are living in a virtual reality? Please share your thoughts in the comments box below. That's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get updated with everything on future technology, Elon Musk, or SpaceX. Thank you for watching.